We're looking at you, Opposite Worlds.
Oh, Opposite Worlds, too.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah, we do have a lot of bad TV shows. Bridalplasty.
Right, it's almost so offensive I didn't want to mention it here, but yes, that will probably be on the Patreon in the future, but not for public consumption.
Bridalplasty shouldn't be for public consumption.
Right, yeah. So again, if you'd like to support us on our Patreon, we'll be happily bringing you those in the future. We did just watch Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which was a lot of fun.
It was better than I expected.
It started off more as a kid's show.
And then it just morphed.
Right. There became those points where we just couldn't.
We couldn't watch, yeah.
I can't watch.
I'm not the squeamish type, and I was like, yeah, I was covering my eyes. I had seen one clip, and I was like, oh, that's creepy. And so when we started the movie, it was like only 10 minutes in, and I was like, it's a little kiddish. But then I always had that creepiness in the back of my mind. It was the pale lady scene.
Right.
He called her the Momo.
The Momo, right. I can't remember. I saw the actual pictures from the book. They're really well adapted from the actual original artwork from the book. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark definitely had a big impact on a lot of people.
Yes, it did.
And it was a fun one
it had
to
an
watch,
impact
but I
on
don't
me.
ever need to see the spider face thing again.
Nope. I just finished reading Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir.
Andy Weir, you were telling me about this one.
And I'm a pretty big Andy Weir fan. I love The Martian. I thought Artemis was a brilliant follow-up.
I listened to The Martian on audiobook, and I was a huge fan. I became conceptually enwrapped in that book for several months.
Oh yeah, as an Alan Wood.
As an Alan Wood, for sure.
And then when we got Artemis from the thrift store, I couldn't stop talking about it with you. I was just always talking about the Boom City and like all the cool things that he had dreamt up there. And then I got Project Hail Mary, just as excited as I was with Artemis.
Right. Oh my, Project Hail Mary. Listening to it from a third-person perspective is something, because all I hear is all of the different sci-fi and science-y tropes.
Right. It was just kind of like all stacked on top.
Some scientists talked to him about how efficient a spider is, and somebody else was talking to him about the silicon-based life forms. No, it's just like carbon-based life, but it's one chain up, so everything's going to be harder. And then somebody else chimed in and was like, what about alien bacteria? And so there's a whole something about alien bacteria.
I know, the astrophage. The astrophage is just... I had to ask Alan if that was a real thing, and he was like, no, that's nonsense, boo-boo.
Right. It's nonsense, but it's not based off of entire nonsense. It's based off of sci-fi concepts.
And it kind of sounded realistic. I
Sci-fi
didn't mind
science
it.
Concepts. That's
the least of that book's problems.
It's not that. It's just everything shoved together. And
It's Interstellar. It's also The Martian. Again, The Martian. And then you have one other movie that I'm not going to mention because that would be a big spoiler. So you take those three movies and you just roll them all into a snowball. And then you have Project Hail Mary. I've read a couple other reviews because I wanted to see how other people thought about it. And I got some good ones. I got a few other ones where they were like, it's a little bit lazy. And I could definitely feel that. It's not as good as Andy Weir's other books.
I do feel bad for Andy, though, because it does seem like somebody directly ripped off his concept of an incompetent professor going to save the day in a situation that he has no business being in, with Moonfall. Yeah, it looks so similar. It seems so similar.
It's very similar. I think right down to the Patrick Wilson's character.
But the one good thing about Moonfall is it does look like it is going to be bad enough to at least be a bad movie watch.
I think you'd have fun. I mean, it looks a lot like 2012.
It looks like it's going to be pretty freaking dumb. Like, it's going to be pretty dumb.
I mean, we have another Roland Emmerich movie coming to you later this season.
Right. But I don't see anything in Moonfall actually making any kind of sense. Again, watching the previews for it, it does have that same Project Hail Mary has, where it's just all of these sci-fi concepts just rolled into one in just a nonsensical way and fronted with a professor who's supposed to be smart. It kind of reminds me of the Da Vinci Code in that way.
Yeah, you're right. The main character does kind of feel a little bit like Robert Langdon.
Right. Which I found the Da Vinci Code. I haven't watched the movie.
I liked Da Vinci Code.
The movie or the book?
Both.
Both.
I actually think that the Da Vinci Code is probably the best of the movies.
It might be. And not to... If you enjoy
I enjoyed
a book,
the book.
Like, if you enjoy a book, rock and roll, you know? That's awesome.
Thinking back on it now, it's a little D-class-A, I guess, but...
I found it so insufferable. I'm just like, why is he doing all these puzzles? This is so...
I liked the puzzles.
It's so convoluted, and then all of a sudden the albino is whipping himself, and I'm just like... I get the albino whipping himself. It's a very visual image, but it also doesn't mean anything.
Right.
So it did take me away. But for those of you who love the Da Vinci Code, I'm really not trying to harper on you. Because honestly, like, there's a lot of books out there I wasn't a big fan of. I never read the Harry Potter books, but I think that they did a great job, you know, to help kids learn to read if we completely remove J.K. Rowling from the situation. Because we don't have time to discuss that.
Not today.
Not today. You know where we sit. We approve of the books.
Not of the writer.
Not of the writer. We are not going to talk about death of the author here. We're at the end of the episode. None of you want to listen to us yammer on about death of the author either. It's a little bit passé.
I've also forced Alan to watch all the Scream movies.
Right, yeah, we have now watched all of the Scream movies, so we can definitely say what our favorites are. I go 4, 1, 2, 3, 5.
Somebody's screaming right now.
Or no, 4, 1, 2, 5, 3, sorry. 4, 1, 2, 5, 3.
Am I surprised that you ranked 5 so low?
I did like 5 a lot. I thought it was really, really good. I enjoyed 4 a lot. I thought 4 was really, really good. I really liked a lot of the characters in 4.
Yeah, I mean, 4, I love 4. 4 actually went from near the bottom of my list to near the top of my list this time. My rank would go 1, 5, 4, 3, 2.
My big comment on the Scream franchise as a whole is that I feel it has been one of the most consistently solid slasher franchises. I might have that ranking for them, but I think that most of them stand very close to each other.
Yeah.
There's not
honestly,
much deviation.
Yes, they're all kind of like equal. I mean, some are a little bit better, some are a little bit worse.
And I feel like the ones that you like less, as you give them time, you can go back and rewatch them and find
probably
things
like them, you know?
a little bit more.
I mean, that's what happened with 4.
Absolutely, right?
And that's kind of what happened in the reverse order with 2, for me, because it just reminded me too much of Scary Movie.
Right. Well, 4 was one that you came to like a little bit more as, like, I, watching it the first time, really enjoyed it. You know?
I kind of had a feeling that you probably would, you know?
That being said, we now actually have an extended edition of 4.
Yeah. We have the Out of Darkness cut from Mod Media Group.
Yes, we have the Out of Darkness cut from Mod Media Group. That is a special fan edit of Scream 4 that includes an extra 20 minutes and contextualizes the movie in a slightly different way.
I loved it.
Right.
I mean, I wish that the scenes were cleaned up better, but I loved it. I thought, like, there was a few scenes in particular, what's your favorite Scary Movie crime scene and the fountain scene? Those 2 scenes were the big scenes that I was really missing that first time I was watching Scream 4. Because there were scenes that were shown in the trailer, and you never get them.
Right.
And it's always in the back of your head. It's like, where's that scene? Where's that scene? And it's never there.
Now, that being said, we haven't done a side-by-side watch. If you weren't aware, we do actually have a setup for side-by-side watching. We have 2 55-inch identical TVs set up right next to each other.
We've done that with Krampus.
Yeah, we did that with the Krampus Naughty Cut versus the original.
And the Naughty Cut, it just destroys the original.
Yeah, small differences between the two, which made a lot of difference in the overall product. We have a lot of positive things to say about the
coloring,
Naughty Cut.
just the reorganization of certain scenes, the editing out of the comedy.
Right.
Did a lot.
Right. Minor editing to make things less comedic in certain key places, slight re-editing of scenes, large shifts in color.
And what I loved about it is that there's still that comedic relief. It's just not as overbearing as that original product.
The original product was a little bit too comedic. And the
Naughty Cut almost felt like The Office.
The Naughty Cut takes a much darker tone and it feels much more appropriate. You never get that family sitcom vibe that you get sometimes during the original Krampus.
Right, I should say Modern Family, not Office. That's a little bit more appropriate.
Right. Yes, and there's specifically, we're talking about, there's a scene where the father is talking to the son, and it does come off very Modern Family. It has that kind of tone.
Right, and then you watch in the Naughty Cut, and it's a little bit more serious.
Right.
You know.
And it's just some slight editing that really makes a lot of difference as far as making it a little bit more tense of a scene, and making it a little bit more real, feel a little bit more real. So we were pretty big fans of the Naughty Cut.
The Naughty Cut was great. I want Michael Dougherty to do more things.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And we definitely are going to be doing more side-by-side watches in the future. Other than that, what do we got, Noham?
We got nothing.
We got a little bit more Rhema to rock out to.
A little more Rhema. Oh, yeah. That sounds great.
Like a boat gonna drift on the river Styx. Am I Dante? There's a smell on my shirt, like the smoke from the fire under the dirt. Am I Dante? I'm like an empty cup, I got nothing to say till you fill it up. Am I Dante? Cause I haven't a clue why I'm here, where to go, or what to do. There's a fire that burns from somewhere deep inside of me. Does it come from a demon? Or is it from divinity? I don't know my own voice, but when it takes control, I'm like a scream from the gallows, like an empty soul.